welcome. The show is in honor of, and I'm here with my co-host, Paul Dietrich, as always. And we have a guest who had been with us in a previous show, and he actually requested to come back because there was more to his story that he wanted to go into. Peter Ivan. Peter, thank you for coming. Thank you for reaching out.
All the way from
to us.
Poughkeepsie.
All the way from Poughkeepsie.
Yes.
Peter was on the show with Art Cody from the New York Defenders Program.
Yeah, New York State Defenders Association.
Right. And his life has taken a couple of turns. He took a turn for the bad a couple of years ago, and now he has a phenomenal turn for the good. Peter, if you would tell us, how did you get involved with the New York Defenders Program?
Okay, that was after, in 2000, I just came home in September of 2012.
Where did you serve?
In Afghanistan in
Okay.
2012.
You were a corpsman, so
I
you
was a
saw
medic,
you
yes.
saw a lot of the gory.
Yeah, we saw
tough
not
action.
nice things, you know.
Right.
It wasn't a happy, deployment. But
As we said, many of these countries are not nice places in the first place.
Yeah, and in a state of war isn't just not going to be pretty. So we saw a lot of casualties there. But regardless, I was there for 2012, and I came home in 2012. It was like 9 months or something, 10 months. So after I got home, it was, everybody just, I guess, in my case, PTSD, and my world started crashing down in February of 2013. So this was like 5 months after I came home. I got arrested for a felony weapons possession, and I went to jail. I got out on bail, and I shopped around for lawyers. Many of them were calling me the Vietnam guy, and I'm like, I'm not even old enough to be there. So there was a very big disconnection between what people saw as veterans and lawyers while shopping around. They were
You have to keep in mind that most of the lawyers and even most of the court systems have never served. They've never been in.
Right.
I mean, the percentage of people now that have even served, not serving in combat, but just have served, is very low.
Yeah, it's like
so
1%.
It's difficult to find somebody that
And
served.
what's really interesting is what you just said, and it rings a bell with me and rings home, is when you got a young lawyer, I assume, fairly young
or
lawyer,
public defender, even.
and
Young
refer to
lawyers.
you as the Vietnam guy. So
Yeah.
there's already a stigma
attached to you.
being attached to you,
Exactly.
and it's being attached to every Vietnam vet.
Agreed. And right away I knew that whatever lawyer I said, no matter what he promised me, he wasn't going to be the guy to represent me. I, of course, didn't have the money either, but I needed a lawyer. So I finally run through this man, and I hired him, Jan Goldman. He's a great attorney, and he, for better or worse, he treated me like a person, not like some number like the other guys. They're like, oh, you got charged with this, so you're gonna do this. That's it. Pay me whatever you want because, you're gonna go to jail.
Go to jail.
So I was like, I can't pay you whatever and go to jail. That's not cool. So at least somebody that fights for me. So this guy, Jan Goldman, he started looking at my case, everything, and as well, he was perplexed. And the best thing he did is he reached out to the New York State Defenders Association, which got Art Cody.
Yes.
And Art Cody is a
Navy vet.
yes, Navy vet. He's a veteran, and he's an attorney with them. So
She also served in Afghanistan.
also served in
He was a
Afghanistan.
pilot in Afghanistan, yeah.
Yes. Great man. And my lawyer, Jan Goldman, he put me in touch with Art Cody. Art Cody met with me, and while we sat there and had lunch and discussed, what happened to me, in the middle of it, he's like, yeah, I remember that place. I was there. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, I was in Bagram and Kandahar, and I was at, the DFIP where you were at, and I know how it is, man. It's stressful. I was like, whoa, this guy doesn't think I'm lying right now.
Yeah.
Doesn't think I'm making this up. He's understanding me. So, we had lunch, we met, and, he's took notes, whatever, went home. A couple of days later, he calls me. He's like, I'm going to try to represent you. And he spent the next 4, 5, maybe 6 months getting in contact with my commander, my sergeants, all the superiors above me, and they wrote their own memos on what happened. You know, basically just oh God, the word. Basically just making sure Art was making sure that I actually was there, that things happened to me.
Right.
So he was crossing his T's and dotting his I's.
Yes.
And all the guys were like, yeah, it happened. Yeah, it happened. Yeah. He was really there. Yep, that happened, you know. So everybody, you know, my story all of a sudden wasn't just my story. Other people, you know, acknowledged it. So with that, he wrote a big, giant brief and basically made me, you know, because once you get into the system, you're just a number and a case to the hundreds or thousands that each DA has. And once it's a little taboo, like a vet, this, they're like, oh, I don't want to take this. It's too much work, right? They just want clear-cut cases. But anyways, so Art wrote this brief, finally presented it to the judge. The judge finally read it after they changed like 4 DAs with me. And on a Monday, it was like 7 years. On a Tuesday, it was like 7. On a Wednesday, it was 4.
This was
On a
time in prison
Thursday-
that you were going to get.
Yes, time. This is what I was facing. And on a Thursday or something like that, it was like probation, or Friday was probation. So that week was up and down. I can't even begin to tell you. But the judge, I'll talk about him in a minute, but that's how I met Art Cody. So Art Cody was a godsend to me.
And
Right.
I want to point out, though, that yes, your time that you would have gotten for this offense went down, but that doesn't mean you got off free. You still had to go. You were pretty much forced to go to get the counseling that you needed
Yes.
to get into the mentoring programs to get yourself out of the situation that, having been in combat in that stressful environment, put you.
Yes, no, you're absolutely right. To give me a little credit, I knew I had a problem, so I went to the VA and I just got myself enrolled. And I was in the stages of just, hey, what's wrong with you? You know, figuring that out. But after that brief, because with a felony charge, you cannot be in veterans court. It has to be minor offenses, you know? So, but it was obvious that what happened to me wasn't me being a criminal. It was just like a reaction of the stresses I had been through.
Yes.
And so anyways, the judge, after reading the brief, he was like, you know, I want to reintegrate you into society. I want to bring you home. You know, I would like it if you do a couple of programs. And then they handed me over to a gentleman named Douglas Knight. He is the alternate sentencing director, I believe, in the Queens DA's office.
Right.
And he, you know, at first we started meeting every week, then every 2 weeks, then every month. And, you know, to update him on what the judge recommended, which was that I definitely do a PTSD program and some marriage counseling and some programs to rehabilitate me, right? So I was going through all those, and Douglas Knight was my supervisor, I guess, the guy who made sure that I do. And, you know, he's also a great man. He's a very fair man, and this judge and him are what made me believe in the system being a system that wants you to not go to jail versus the misinterpretation that everybody, you know, they have a 90% conviction rate. So if you end up under their hand, you're going to go to jail. Yes, right? But while that might be true, I can't say that the system didn't work for me, because they gave me every chance, and it was up to me to make sure that it happens, to perform, right? But they did give me the chance, and yes, it took them a while to get there, but like as Art Cody said, you know, they want to give you a chance, but they don't want to, they want to make sure that all their I's and T's are dotted, like that you deserve this chance, not that, hey, you're just somebody and, you know, just need to get a second chance. No, so.
And I want people out there in the audience to understand that if you're a veteran, my experience when I came back was that basically Fort Bragg, which is where I came through, just wanted me off the payroll. It was, get out of here as fast as you can. They gave me a copy of my discharge and said, here's your plane ticket, have a nice day, move on. There was no, and even to this day, I don't think there's a real good integration between the military, people that are leaving the military, going back into civilian life, and the VA. I went to the VA myself because I had another issue. So I ended up in the program and saw some good things from the VA. But people coming back really need to be almost forced to go into the system, because otherwise we're throwing people back into society with nothing. It's, you come out of combat today and tomorrow you're back on the street, and I'm sorry.
Deal with it, right?
Combat is a totally different life situation. I often talk about when I came home from my daughter's wedding. She got married. She lives in Virginia. And I remember driving down Route 95 with my wife in the car, and I couldn't understand why my pulse is pounding and my blood pressure's up, and I'm looking around. There were no concrete walls on either side of me. I was already a year in Iraq. Everything is concrete walls.
Yeah.
And that's protecting you. And when it's not there, I'm sorry, your body still reacts to it. Because after you've been shot at a number of times, you just react. You don't think about what you're doing.
I agree.
It's a normal reaction. And I can also tell you that I don't know how many times I kept feeling for my pistol. Because every place you go to the mess hall, you wear your pistol. That is just a part of you for the time that you're there, and it's not something that goes away.
Yeah, it's
not. And I really think, and when I spoke to the congressmen and the senators this last year, this is one of the things I said to them. I said, I don't understand that we can just throw people back into society and expect them to just get back to peacetime.
You're
When we
absolutely
have
right.
to do, there has to be some interlock between it, and I don't see it.
And if you add in the factor of PTSD, and for those of you that don't understand what PTSD is, it's like being under constant stress,
Yes.
but not knowing that you are. Not knowing.
exactly.
You know, in your mind,
Everything is fine.
everything's fine, and if there's a problem, I can handle it. Now, your handling it may not be rational.
Yes.
Exactly.
Okay? It
It may not be rational in the civilian world,
but to you
but in
it
the
is.
military,
But that's
that
what-
is how you react.
That's what I explain to people sometimes. You know, when you're in the Army, decisions are, it's either do or die. So whether the
Yes.
decision is right or wrong, you got to make one and go with it. And PTSD helps you go with the crazier decisions because that's your reality and it's do or die
well,
all the time, you know?
You know, if there's something that's threatening you and you're under PTSD, you're not going to say, I got stress.
No.
What you're going to say is, I'm going to go get me a gun and fix this problem.
Right. I'm going to fix this problem. And
Yes.
don't get a gun because that's not the right way to
No,
do
no.
it. But
Not in
yes,
the,
that's,
especially not in the civilian world.
yeah, no. And, you know, things like that will get you in trouble. And it's that mentality. And, you know, you've also been instilled that in you since day one in basic, you know, like follow orders. You know,
what
no
you're
matter
told to
what,
do,
do what
right?
you're told to do. Like, I was a medic, so for me, there wasn't no, oh, let me think about it. It was decide now and do
Yep.
it, or,
Stop the bleeding.
you know, like,
clear the airway.
yeah, so especially, like, depending on what you do in the Army, like, my job was, like, I could never not know what to do. I could never not make a decision. And that translated to when I came back, and I don't care what I do. As long as I make a decision and follow through with it, that's great. That was...
And as a
You know.
corpsman, if you lose a patient, you just move on to the next patient because that's part of the job
Yes,
description.
That's part of the job description, and all that resurfaces its ugly head when you come home because you don't have time. It's work, 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 sleep, or whatever,
Yeah.
and then work, 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 and it's just never ending. And then when you come home and you're actually like, it just like,
Yeah.
you know, the
exactly.
can explodes or the whatever, the floodgates open, and it's like you're on your second deployment.
In your case, that was evident by virtue of the fact that the VA certified you.
Yes. The VA did certify me 100% disability based on PTSD, and that actually made the district attorneys and everybody. It was more like not a nail in my coffin, but it was now, for a metaphor, like a nail in their coffin. Like I wasn't crying wolf. I wasn't making this up, you know?
Exactly.
Every doctor out there can't be wrong, you know?
Yeah.
So.
And here, go back to what I said before, though. You were there at the VA, and you got that treatment, that diagnosis. I just worry about the rest of those veterans who get basically kicked out of the service. You're done. Go ahead home. That haven't had that chance to be evaluated.
Yeah.
And my own experience, I mentor a veteran who's in Veterans Court. When I sat down with this kid, I'm not a doctor. Yeah, I was a medic 40 years ago. But the fact of the matter is, when I sat with him, I knew that he had PTSD just by talking to him, and I was pretty sure that he had a traumatic brain injury. Just by the way he was acting. But here's a guy that's out in the society and wasn't in the VA at the time because there was no linkage between the service and the VA.
Yeah.
It wasn't. And why is the guy in trouble? He's in trouble because there's an
Couldn't get
injury
help.
here. And yeah, you
Yeah.
can't see it. Okay, but it's there.
Exactly.
And it's affecting his life to this day.
And imagine how the rest of society who didn't serve is.
They don't have a
labeling
clue.
him. No, he's just a crazy guy. And then he starts believing that, so he's less likely now to go get help. And I gotta say, for the VA though, all the places you need help are there,
Yes,
except
but you have-
nobody tells you about it.
You have to go there.
Nobody. And you have to go there, and you know, for an Army person to ask for help,
Oh,
it's hard. You know, it's hard. You're supposed to be especially like as a medic,
Strength. You're the strength.
You know, you're supposed to be the guy they look up to, and you're going to get help. And it's like the embarrassment, and you feel so alone and so bad, but you need to get it. And it's there, but you just need to go. And that's the problem, though, is nobody tells you. No, like you said, when you get out, you know, all my sergeants, commanders, everybody was like, listen, guys, you guys have been gone for a long time. If you want to go home, just say no. If you want to stay here until they evaluate you 1, 2, 4 months, say you have a problem. Who the hell is gonna come home after a year and be like, yeah, I want to be reevaluated. I want to get the heck out of here. So everybody puts no, and then you know people start calling them crazy because they don't fit the whatever they know about war, and he's less likely to go to trouble, to get help, gets in trouble.
Yep.
You know.
We talk a little bit about the disposition of your case then. Once the brief was done by Mr. Cody to assist your lawyer, you were again before the judge. And can you walk us through that process a little bit?
Yes. So the judge basically read the brief. The other guys might have skimmed through it and seen that it was a brief from somebody, but I don't think they read it. So the judge made them, he was like, Mr. Ivan, do you want this to go another day? If you don't mind, I will make sure that we read it together. His name was Leach, Judge Leach. He was awesome man, great man. So he read it with them, and then they came back and decided to, yes, actually let me kind of reintegrate into society. And they gave me probation that would start after I complete some programs, right?
Okay.
And
So
those
basically, you had to plead guilty at this point.
Oh yeah, you have
Yeah.
you have to plead guilty. 97% succession rate. You
Yes.
know they're gonna get you on something. But after 2 years of going to court, you know, and 7 for probation. When I heard probation, no jail
We're
time.
talking 7 years.
Yeah, 7
4
years in jail. That's a long deployment, you know, and that was not going to go well. No rehab, nothing. It was just going to be a life sentence for me. Most people probably that were in my shoes. But when I heard probation, I was like, sure, take my blood. I'll sign on the dotted line because that's it. I don't have to go to jail. I knew that I wasn't whatever, you know, the criminal they try to portray you as, because that's their job, DAs. I knew I wasn't that person. They could lie to whoever, but I can't lie to myself, you know. In my heart of hearts, I know. So I knew probation was going to work out for me because I'm not out there looking for trouble.
But it's
you know?
probation with services, and you had to complete
Yes,
certain
and
services
I
ahead
had
of
to
time.
complete certain services, and those services were actually great. In retrospect now, they were awesome because I had to do a one-on-one session with a great therapist, Maria Steenkamp. She's just like, psychologist, and that was a one-on-one where they like teach your brain how to kind of, it's never going to go away, PTSD, but you kind of learn to handle the situations.
Yes.
So she helped me out with that. Then I went through some marriage counseling, and in retrospect, that worked out very well. I now have a son, you know.
Congratulations.
And thank you.
8 months, right?
Yeah, 8 months. 8 months. Yes.
God bless.
Yes. It's a little joy of my life now, you know. But yeah, I would have, you know, in jail. I'm gonna get a kid there. Can't get a man pregnant.
if you had gone to serve time,
Yes.
that would have pretty much been it for your life because your PTSD gets no help.
No, look,
Not in prison.
While
we
you're
are
in
we are
prison.
soldiers. Most soldiers don't know how to not defend themselves. They don't know how to not fight back. Certain things like that, and that's not gonna play well in jail. You know, you're gonna get in a lot more trouble, and that's good for nobody. You know, especially for a person that has any kind of like PTSD, something like that. So I knew that was gonna be a life
It's going to
sentence.
be another stressor to you.
Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
a stressor. It was gonna be the end. I couldn't do a year or 7. It was just gonna be once I go in there, I'm here for life because God knows what happened. I would have got no help. I would have been on my deployment, do or die, and God knows.
Yeah.
That was not gonna go well. So but anyways, the help I got because of their mandated things, I probably maybe would have got on my own anyways, but not at the time, and that's when I needed it. So that was a great forcer, and it worked out.
And I can tell you, as having served as a mentor, that you have to keep going back to the court, and you have to keep verifying that, yes, I'm still enrolled, yes, I'm still progressing, yes, I'm still reintegrating into society, because that's really how you have to think about this whole process of coming back from a conflict. You are coming back into society where the rules are totally different. For a year, basically, you've been operating under the rules of kill or be killed. That's reality, folks, whether you really like it or not, but that's reality.
Exactly. And it stays with you.
Yes,
yeah,
it absolutely does.
Unless somebody has the gumption to get a hold of it and help to straighten you out.
But even then, some of it is going to be there forever.
Right.
Once you know, that saying about nobody comes home from war is absolutely true in my opinion.
Yeah, it is.
Like some part of that stays with you. I don't care
Absolutely.
good or bad, mostly bad, but
Yeah, mostly
something's
bad.
going to stay with you, you know?
I will say the comradeship that you develop
It's probably
is
the good.
but everything else is bad.
Yes.
I still, to this day, react poorly to loud noises. I'm sorry, but after being shot at for 2 years,
Yeah.
that's my reality now.
That comes with the territory.
I told you about, I can now drive down 95 and not be, going crazy. But I think that's because I worked at that, and I said, no, you're home.
Yeah. But you
don't-
know you're stopping yourself from going crazy.
Yes, exactly. But it was there, and that's the reality of it.
And you know, that's as much treatment as most of us will ever get, as long as we can control it. You know,
Yeah,
you
and
know
that's
it's
what you're
there,
doing,
but you're
controlling.
controlling it. That's great.
Well, when this all started about doing another show, it was Peter that reached out for us,
Yes.
and to his credit, I said, Peter, do you really want to tell the whole story? And his answer to me was, yes, I do.
Because I want to pay it
He
forward.
says, yeah. He says, I want those who see the show to know that this is available.
Yeah.
I want those that see the show to know what damage PTSD could do to somebody. So if you've got somebody in your family, or if you are that veteran who came back from Iraq or Afghanistan,
Even if you don't think you need it.
yeah, or even Vietnam, right? Yeah. Even if you don't think he's right, if you don't think you need it,
That's when you probably need it.
Yes, probably.
I'll see that this is, a step forward. And to Peter's credit, he wanted to do the show. He wanted to be able to tell the story. He wanted everybody to understand what happens to you, okay? And if you can't identify what's happening to you and you're watching this program, maybe somebody in your family can.
Yes.
Yes.
Maybe your wife, your mother, your father can, and say, hey, let's go see about getting some sort of help.
Yeah, let's just go see what's out there. Just like
Exactly.
that. Don't call nobody crazy, because
No.
that was one of the things that I was like, yeah, I must be crazy. Everybody called me crazy when I came home. And I was like, all right, I'm crazy. I don't really need help. I'm just nuts. I need to end this existence. And that's not good.
No.
Just guide them in a nice way.
I really think, and right now, I'll say this, we are doing better. And we're doing better in that we only have 20 veterans a day killing themselves. Why do we think they're killing themselves? Because this stuff keeps adding up and keeps building up. And 14 of those 20, these are not younger veterans. These are older veterans.
All
that
those
probably came back from Vietnam, from Korea, from World War II. And if you don't believe it, I can tell you that in my post, we have a Korean War veteran who suffered from PTSD from 1952, only just started getting counseling in 2009.
Well, they didn't really identify
They
PTSD until the
They didn't.
80s.
World War II veteran, only got into PTSD counseling in 2005. It's out there, and it just keeps building up and building up and building up until finally you snap. So realistically, you have to get ahead of that and go get the help that's out there. It does seem to help. If you look at the people that commit suicide, most of them never went for counseling.
Right.
So
Yeah.
the odds get significantly better when you identify and go for counseling.
Yeah. Well, that whole thing about it was 22 a day, right?
Yes, we're down 2 a day.
If you, let's call the Army a job. If this job takes 22 a day, all those people can't be wrong. Like, there's no doctor position where, 20, or hairdressers, where 20 hairdressers a day kill themselves.
Right.
If that was, then hairdressing should be considered a very
Hazardous.
hazardous occupation, So the fact that this happens in the Army should be
All the services.
yeah, exactly, and all the proof you need that war is not a game.
No.
Well, anyway, thank you, Peter, for being here,
welcome.
for bringing your story, and to the public. If you need help, we're here to help you.
Yeah.
And that's the purpose of the show, and that was the purpose of Peter coming back, to let you fully understand what transpired to get him to where he's at. And thank
Which
God,
is now good.
it's a good story.
Yes.
Thank
And
you, yes.
so, Peter, thank you so much for being
You're
here.
welcome so
Yes,
much.
Paul,
Thank you very much.
as always,
Gentlemen.
Paul, thank you. You just keep watching in honor of. We love you for watching, and we'll keep bringing you shows like this. The shows are meant to help you.